Good morning. This is the time and place for the Planning Hearing Officer meeting of November the 28th, 2012. My name is Vilia Zamataitis, and I will be conducting the public hearing. We have 4 cases on today's agenda, and the relevant exhibits are posted on the board behind me. I would like to take this moment now to let you know that the second item on today's agenda, which would be for 1675 Ard Even Avenue, this case is being continued to a date certain without further public notice. So the case for 1675 Ard Even will be continued to December the 19th. So again, this would be continued to December the 19th for 1675 Ard Even Avenue, which leads us to 3 cases to be heard on today's agenda. The procedures of the hearing: if there is a variance on the agenda, there will need to be 4 required findings made. One is that the strict application of the ordinance would result in practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship inconsistent with the general purposes and intent of the ordinance. 2, that there are exceptional circumstances or conditions applicable to the property involved or to the intended use or development of the property that do not generally apply to the property in the same zone or neighborhood. 3, that the granting of the variance will not be materially detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property or improvements in such a zone or neighborhood in which the property is located. And 4, that the granting of the variance will not be contrary to the objectives of the ordinance. And this is in regards to variances. We also have several cases on today's agenda that deal with conditional use permits. And conditional use permits may only be granted if 4 required findings are present. They are that the proposed use will be consistent with the elements and objectives of the general plan. 2, that the use and its associated structures and facilities will not be detrimental to the public health or safety, the general welfare of the environment. 3, that the use and facilities will not adversely affect or conflict with the adjacent uses or impede the normal development of surrounding properties. And 4, that the adequate public and private facilities such as utilities, landscaping, parking spaces, and traffic circulation measures are or will be provided for the proposed use. With that said, if the evidence presented in the application and at the hearing meets the criteria just described, the planning hearing officer can either approve or impose conditions for approval on the case in question. If the findings of fact are not evident, then the request will have to be denied. Public notice. Notification of this hearing was accomplished by the use of public notices, which were mailed to the property owners and applicants located within 500 feet of the subject property, physically posted on the site in question, and placed in the newspaper. The hearing will proceed as follows. I will read the description of the application and request. I'll read the reports received from other city departments and other letters or communications from interested parties. The case planner will make a brief overview of the case, give analysis, and make a recommendation. The applicant will then be asked to come forward, stating both name and address, and will be asked to present the case within a 15-minute time period. Others in support of or in opposition to the application and interested parties will be asked to come forward then to speak, again clearly stating both name and address for the record within a 3-minute time period. Lastly, the applicant will be given the opportunity to make closing arguments, if desired, in response to the testimonies given by the preceding speakers, and this would be within a 5-minute time period. The hearing will then be closed and the case taken under submission. After the hearing, the decision will be prepared in writing and will be in the form of a letter sent to the applicant and to all persons who responded to the public notice, either by speaking at the hearing or by submitting written responses and having provided their name and mailing address. The date of the decision will be the date appearing on the letter. Appeals. Under the appeal provision of Title 30, Chapter 3062, the decision may be appealed to the Planning Commission within 15 days of the date of the decision. Anyone wishing to appeal may obtain forms and brochures on the procedures from the Building and Safety Section Permit Services Center located on the same floor of this building. If you wish to speak, please write your name and address on one of the speaker cards which have been provided by the front door and submitted to our staff. I would also like to inform everyone that the official proceedings of the zoning administrator's hearing are recorded as part of the public record. Okay, after that lengthy introduction, we go on to the agenda. The first case on today's agenda is conditional use permit case number PCUP 1230427. The project is located at 2427 Honolulu Avenue. The applicant is Janelle Williams from Williams Land Use Services, and the case planner is Eric Kraus. Mr. Kraus, if you don't mind, just allow me one moment to review the submitted interdepartmental comments, and then I will turn it over for brief description. Okay, the police had a number of comments which I believe you'll be going over in your staff report regarding overconcentration and crime stats. Is that correct?
If you need me to, otherwise I was just going to refer to the staff report because those findings are included in there.
Okay, so if you don't mind making mention. It looks like the project is located in a census tract that is over-concentrated and does have a higher crime stat than the citywide average, but it appears that the police department does not have any negative feedback regarding the application. So, fire engineering. Other than that, there appear to be no other substantial comments from any of the other departments. So, okay, Mr. Kraus, would you?
Thank you, Ms. Zimatitis. This is case number PCUP 1230427, located at 2427 Honolulu Avenue. It's located within the CR Commercial Retail Zone. The applicant is Janelle Williams of Williams Land Use Services, and the owner is Horst Reuter. And the applicant is requesting approval of a conditional use permit to allow a wine bar with on-site consumption and wine sales for off-site consumption in the CR zone. And this type of use is considered a tavern in the zoning code. The wine cave currently and would continue to occupy an approximate 1,560 square foot tenant space that's located within an approximate 3,100 square foot tenant space. Excuse me? The building is located on Honolulu Avenue between Las Palmas and Rosemary Avenues. The tavern occupies a ground floor space with pedestrian access along Honolulu Avenue. The wine cave is currently permitted as a liquor store with wine tasting. The requested application represents a change in use from an existing permitted liquor store with wine tasting to a tavern with off-site sales of wine. The previous CUP approval, which was case number 2009-009, restricted the wine cave to 8 seats, prohibited dancing and live entertainment, and restricted the hours of operation from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. As part of the new CUP application, the applicant is proposing a total of 60 seats. That would include 48 seats inside, 8 seats in the rear patio, and 4 seats located in the front of the building within the public right-of-way. The applicant is proposing to modify the hours of operation from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. 7 days a week. The applicant would also like the ability to occasionally feature live music and allow dancing for the patrons. The wine cave has been operating to some capacity similar to the requested CPU application.
I'm sorry, we can't have any crosstalk, please, so if you don't mind.
With no conflict or adverse effect. The proposed modification to the previous conditions of approval would be more appropriate to the current operation and request to operate as a tavern with off-site sales. Staff did receive comments from Neighborhood Services Division that the wine cave was not operating as currently permitted. However, the change in use from a liquor store to a tavern would address all of their concerns. Staff does believe the findings to permit the wine cave as a tavern can be made as discussed in the staff report and recommends approval of the CUP application. As you mentioned, the crime statistics in this is in Census Tract 30006, which is a Part 1 crime index of 130, which is 106% above the city median of 63. But again, based on comments back from the police department and the lack of public testimony and negative comments that they've received in the past, the police department's position is that they can monitor many of the establishments effectively in this neighborhood, and they do not have any concerns with the overconcentration. That concludes staff's presentation. I'll be happy to address any questions. Thank you.
I have no questions at this time. I would like to invite, it appears that Janelle Williams is the applicant on record, so Ms. Williams, please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good morning, Madam Hearing Officer. My name is Janelle Williams, 2418 Honolulu Avenue, Unit B, Montrose. I am across the street from the Wine Cave. We also have with us today, what a pleasant surprise, I didn't know these people were going to come, but Edith Fuentes, Alyssa Glickman with Glendale Arts, Arlene Penaflor, and I do have, before I get started, I wanted to give you a couple of things. One letter of support from Rita Hajmanukian and a copy of the calendar for 2012 for the Wine Cave fundraising events and a petition.
Thank you.
I also wanted to thank you for visiting the site. We don't always get that privilege, so I think it's very helpful, and we really appreciate that you came out. And Eric, thank you for the staff report. We appreciate all your hard work. I'll go into the findings as you've requested. The first finding is, how will the proposed use be consistent with the various elements and objectives of the general plan? The use as requested is allowed in the CR commercial zone. The Wine Cave has proven itself to be a desired amenity in the Montrose Shopping Park, and it is a real public convenience. The establishment is local, it's professionally operated by the owner, and it works in harmony with both the public and with the surrounding businesses. Alcoholic beverage service is a normal business operation, and it's consistent with the commercially designated locations identified in the land use element of the general plan, and the general plan does recognize that establishments serving beer and wine are appropriate uses in certain commercial districts. We're not asking to upgrade our ABC privilege to include distilled spirits or hard liquor, as this is not intended to be a full liquor bar, just a comfortable neighborhood wine bar that it has evolved into. A place to go and try different wines, typically from very small run wineries in California. It fits right in with the unique small town feel that we have in Montrose. With proper review and conditions, this establishment would continue to be consistent with all objectives of the general plan. It is a wine bar or a wine tavern where patrons may enjoy the wines on site and then purchase a nice bottle of wine to take home. When the Wine Cave first opened, it was anticipated that the bulk of its business would be for sales to take home, but it's really evolved into a comfortable sit-down place where people can just go and enjoy their evening. That was a design of the patrons. Scott never really anticipated that it would evolve this way, but it has, and it's very comfortable and a natural fit for the area. Why will the public use, or proposed use, and associated structures and facilities not be detrimental to the public health, safety, general welfare, or to the environment? The site is within an identified commercial center, which is the Montrose Shopping Park. Since 2009, there's been nothing to indicate any detriment to health, safety, general welfare, or to the environment. In fact, the Wine Cave has been a great benefit to many charitable organizations and worthy causes. The proprietor, Scott Starkey, who is here, has always held the belief that his success should benefit others too, and by that philosophy, in 3 short years, the Wine Cave has helped many worthy organizations meet their fundraising goals. Among those benefiting from the charity of the Wine Cave are the Fallen Sheriffs, Glendale Arts, Habitat for Humanity, Seroptimists, the YMCA, American Cancer Society, Glendale Youth Alliance, local Glendale schools, and many, many more. The Wine Cave also provides a venue for emerging local artists, both musical and visual artists. He has supported other small businesses as well with their various kickoff events. Important to note that everyone, friends and strangers alike, can always find the Wine Cave open to them whether or not there's a special event happening at the Wine Cave. If it's a private event, the public are always welcome at every event. And that policy really has helped expose the public to different charities and opened up opportunities for others to become aware and involved in philanthropy. Many accidental community volunteers have emerged from this open door policy. Why will the proposed use and facilities not adversely affect or conflict with adjacent uses or impede the normal development of surrounding property? The Wine Cave is a proven asset to the area, wishes to call Montrose its home for many years to come. In order to assist this small business in continuing to provide for the public convenience and necessity and to offer as the amenities as possible, we want to renew the conditional use permit with conditions that are more appropriate to the current operation, as Eric has stated. Scott Starkey has successfully owned and operated another local establishment in Glendale's downtown, Milano's. Scott was the owner and beverage manager in charge of the full-service bar and the full line of alcoholic beverages, all with no calls to police service. He is aware of the responsible service of alcoholic beverages, has practiced it for decades at various establishments under his control. There would be no conflict or adverse effect if the Wine Cave were permitted to remain open until 2 a.m., which is the allowable closing time under state ABC law. Additionally, we suggest the seating as shown on the plan. We request an increase in indoor seating to the occupancy allowed by the fire department and outdoor seating as shown. The ability to feature live music on occasion and allow patron dancing as requested and as conditioned. Of course, we would obtain all necessary permits for the live entertainment and for patron dancing. The seating in the front, I noticed on the conditions it said to obtain an encroachment permit, but I believe that that's on private property. I think that's all on their private property.
We'll
in the front.
look into that, make sure
Okay.
that's...
If not, we'll be happy to obtain the permit for it. Explain how adequate public and private facilities such as utilities, landscaping, parking spaces, and traffic circulation measures are or will be provided for the proposed use. The structure, the parking, streets, utilities are all existing and are adequate for the current operation. The adequacy of the public infrastructure won't be affected by this application. All structures on the premises are permitted and legal, and parking is provided on site. Adequate public and private facilities such as setback, utilities, landscaping, and open space are provided for the existing use. The structure is properly accommodated and located on the site. And this is an alcoholic beverage conditional use permit renewal dealing with alcoholic beverages, which requires us to make 5 more findings. So do you want me to go through those as well?
Actually, those were addressed
Okay.
and summarized by Eric Ross.
Okay.
I know that those.
If you have any questions of me, I am here. You want to go through the other findings? I'm happy to do that.
No, thank you very much. No, I am, and just to confirm with Mr. Kraus as well, that the previous CUP was for on-site sales, service, and consumption in terms of wine tasting at the existing location for the previous CUP that was approved in 2009. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so this is...
Just the issues that Neighborhood Services had was that they exceeded their 8 seats that they were permitted in their hours of operation. And then at times they were having live music on the site, so that was in violation of the existing CUP.
Okay.
So the proposal is to modify that, which is more of a tavern use than a liquor store.
And that's so noted in the staff report and in the conditions of approval. So now, is your client amenable to all of the stated conditions of approval? There were 3, I believe, that were proposed for just minor modifications in regards to the hours of operation, and I'll let you go into the details.
Yeah, there was one. There was one comment. It says comments and conditions will be implemented during the plan check phase of the project. That would be on page 2 of the staff report, where it says comments from other city departments. Just so you know, we're not going into plan check. We're not proposing any physical changes to the use or the property. Again, on page 3, I had a comment about the seating in the front of the building may not require the approval of an encroachment permit from Public Works, because I believe it's on private property. If we find that it's on public property, we're happy to get the encroachment permit, or we may not do seating at all, but I want to just leave that option open. The proposed hours of operation from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. On the same page.
Okay.
And we are not adding to the number of licenses that are in the census tract, and we are with these changes, we're still covered under the ABC licenses that we hold. What else? Oh, also. Let's see. The authorization granted, we're asking for a longer period of time, until 2022. That would be a 10-year approval period. And the reason I ask for that is because of the long track record, current and past track record of responsible business operation. Scott is a very hands-on operator. He has help occasionally, but he's always on site. So we would request a 10-year approval at this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have 3 speaker cards from interested parties. Are there any other speaker cards at this time? None? Okay. I would like to invite up Ms. Arlene Penaflor. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, good morning. My name is Arlene Penaflor. I am a real estate agent by profession. Address is 411 North Central Avenue, Glendale, California, 91203. And I am here in favor of the project on 2427 Honolulu Avenue. Thank you.
No further comments? Okay, thank you. Ms. Elisa Glickman.
Hi, I'm Elisa Glickman. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Glendale Arts and the Alex Theater. We're located at 216 North Brand Boulevard in Glendale. I'm here today, as Ms. Williams mentioned, since Scott opened the Wine Cave in 2009, he has provided a forum for numerous nonprofit organizations, including ours, to raise money, countless thousands of dollars for our charities, whether it's Seroptimist or special one-night events for community groups to help raise money to offset hospital costs for people who are ill. Scott is always the first to step up, either providing a space or a venue for those charitable opportunities or donating product to those events. He is one of those small business owners that the community can really rely on, not only for a place to entertain ourselves and have a great time, but also to count on for what he gives back to the community. And from an artistic standpoint, as Ms. Williams also mentioned, he also provides a venue for local artists to display their works, which is a huge challenge for any artist to find a forum for people to be able to see and possibly or potentially purchase their product. So he's an incredible business owner who really gives back to the community in numerous ways, and we hope that he will not only be able to continue to operate, but to be able to expand his business to appropriately fit what the public really has defined as his business. The evolution of the Wine Cave has really come a long way since I know he first envisioned it several years ago. Again, based on public demand, public need, and the desire for all of these community groups to come together, not only in support of him, but in his support of us. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you. And last but not least, Ms. Edith Fuentes.
Good morning, Ms. Hearing Officer. I'm Edith Fuentes, resident of Glendale and a member of Seroptimus International. And as mentioned by Ms. Williams, the Wine Cave has been gracious and helpful to host many nonprofit community events, artists, name it. He's been a venue for all of us. We hope they will continue their excellent operations. I have not heard of any problems with the Wine Cave in the past, and we also hope they will continue to provide for community events and activities venue as they have done in the past. And with that, we are hoping that a positive decision regarding their proposed project or case will be accepted by the hearing officer. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have no other speaker cards at this time. Would Ms. Williams like her 5-minute rebuttal period? Or doesn't have to be a rebuttal period. It could be a comment
I
period
have
as well,
nothing to
so.
rebut. I'm just pleased that the police didn't have any negative comments, and we received no negative letters or testimony. I know this proprietor personally very well, and I'm a better person for it, and I know that a lot of the entire community of Glendale has benefited from the existence of the Wine Cave. So again, I ask for your favorable review and a longer period of renewal. Thank you.
Okay,
10
thank you.
years.
Thank you very much. This case is now being taken under submission, and a decision letter will be sent out shortly. So, the next case on today's agenda is a parking reduction permit application, case number PPRP 1211310. The project address is 515 South Glendale Avenue. The applicant is Doma's Design, and the case planner is Milka Toledo. In terms of the fire department actually had several comments, and these are primarily standards in regards to the occupancy classification for the proposed expansion, a number of other items dealing with the food preparation, smoke detectors and whatnot. So they're all noted in the case file. Some comments from Glendale Water and Power as well. No other substantial comments that I've received. I see one letter in the case file from, that was comments received from, it appears just a Peggy that did not leave her name in opposition to granting the parking reduction because of the existing parking problem in the neighborhood. No other letters. I'd like to turn the matter over to Ms. Toledo for a project description and staff analysis, please.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Zimatitis. As you mentioned, this is an expansion of the existing commercial retail bakery, Karina's Cake House, change of use of 2 residential units to commercial, with the elimination of the existing residential parking on site while not providing the required additional parking for the commercial and residential or remaining residential unit on site. As proposed, the project will result in a 12 parking space shortfall for both the commercial and then 2 covered and enclosed parking spaces for the remaining residential unit on site. The applicant is proposing 9 on-site parking spaces for the commercial uses and no residential parking for the remaining residential tenant. The building, or the site, is 11,370 square feet. The building is located on a lot containing both commercial and residential uses with 7 on-site commercial spaces and residential parking. The commercial uses at the front of the lot include both the flower shop and the subject bakery, which is considered a retail use for both. The rear of the lot contains the 2-story triplex with 2 covered and enclosed attached parking garages on the ground floor, and the residential is above. The existing residential parking appears to be a 1-car garage for each. The existing commercial uses on the site is 2,830 square feet. The flower shop is 830 square feet, and the bakery currently is 2,000 square feet. The proposed addition to the bakery consists of the construction of new floor area, which is 501 square feet at the rear of the existing bakery, the conversion of 2 out of the 3 residential dwelling units into floor area, and that would sum to 1,170 square feet, and the conversion of the existing 2 private and residential parking garages into commercial retail floor area, which would equal 655 square feet total. Based on the above, the total addition to the bakery will be 2,326 square feet, and the combined area of the existing 2,000 square foot bakery plus the additions that I've just stated will be 4,326 square feet. As I stated, currently there are 7 uncovered on-site parking spaces and then the 2 private attached garages for the residential on the ground floor. The existing bakery, in terms of the parking requirements, and the existing flower shop, because they're both retail, require 4 spaces per 1,000 square feet of floor area, which would equal to 21 spaces. That would be the requirement. And the remaining dwelling unit would require 2 covered and enclosed parking spaces. They are proposing to modify the existing parking layout. So 9 new on-site parking spaces will be provided for the 2 commercial tenants, and all existing required residential parking will be eliminated. As proposed, the project will result in a 14-space parking shortfall, and that would include for both the commercial and the residential combined. In terms of their hours of operation, the existing flower shop and the bakery, they have similar operating hours. The flower shop is open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., and the bakery is open from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. And of course, the residential is basically a house, so it would be a 24/7 type operation. 24 hours per day is when parking is required for them. So there is a conflict with the commercial and the residential uses on site as it relates to the number of parking spaces provided and the parking demand for each use. In terms of comments received by other department, we did have comments from the traffic section, from the engineering division, where they stated that on-street parking is high demand in the project area and any new development that does not meet the parking requirements will adversely impact parking availability in the area. We also received comments from Neighborhood Services where they stated that the lack of parking continues to be frustration for merchants and residents throughout the community. Glendale streets are already negatively impacted by the lack of needed parking at local businesses. So therefore, they mentioned regarding the specific entitlement request, they felt that any entitlement request which may further exacerbate parking conditions in this area obviously would be an issue for them. And in terms of the existing parking situation along Glendale Avenue and nearby local streets, it is heavily impacted as a result of the lack of parking currently in the area. I did conduct 3 site visits personally. I did notice the situation where the parking is heavily occupied on street and in local businesses in the area appear to have also a parking problem. And during my site visits, I did note that the parking in front of the property along Glendale Avenue was occupied by parked vehicles, and the on-site parking for the customers at the subject location, both at the front and the rear, was also occupied. I did visit the site once at about noon on a weekday and twice in the evening, once in the midweek and once on a Friday. And out of the 3 times, I did note that all spaces were taken 2 out of the 3 site visits. Presently, the site is legal, non-conforming as it relates to parking. So again, to add to the existing building or the existing business, by doubling the size of the existing bakery from 2,000 to 43 approximately square feet, 4,300 square feet, would exacerbate the existing on-site and on-street parking situation, which is contrary to the objectives of the zoning code. In addition, this type of sizable addition as proposed here would almost always attract more customers, would also require or increase the need for more employees, which in turn again would increase the need for more commercial and employee parking. And so staff felt that if approved, the requested parking reduction for both the commercial and residential would have a detrimental effect on the neighborhood and the general welfare as a result of lack of parking that currently exists in the area. And for these reasons, staff believes that the findings for the parking reduction cannot be made in a positive manner and therefore does not recommend approval of the entitlement request.
Thank you. Now, in reviewing your staff report and just taking a look at the comments, I noticed that there were comments, in regards to negative consequences, negative impacts because of the proposal. These comments came from Traffic and Transportation and Neighborhood Services. Just quickly, right now, briefly looking through the case file, I did not see those comments. Did you have a?
I do.
They're at your, okay.
Yes,
at your desk.
download them on the computer.
If you don't mind, because I just,
Let me do
in the
that
case file, for some reason, either through the sifting this morning or whatnot, it looks like they're not in the case file. So if you don't mind, I'd like to take a look at those comments. A couple of questions, though, for you. Just to, again, summarize, it's an existing legal nonconforming condition with regards to the existing commercial buildings and then the 2-story triplex in the rear with 2 enclosed parking spaces. They're proposing to convert some of the residential to commercial and then add on top of that.
Correct.
And
eliminate the existing residential parking.
Correct, and eliminate existing residential parking. Right now, they're proposing a deficit or parking shortfall of 14 spaces per code, and this is in regards to the existing legal nonconforming with the addition.
Correct.
Okay. If they were not addressing the existing legal nonconforming situation and they were constructing this as a new development, how many parking spaces would they need?
21 parking spaces for the commercial and 2 covered and enclosed parking spaces for the residential.
Okay. So, that said, also, and this might be a question to be answered by the applicant, in the submitted plans, I noted 2 parking spaces that had direct backup access to Glendale, which according to today's code would not be permitted. 3 spaces actually that were shown towards the interior property line to the north, if you notice, and then 2 parking spaces to the rear along the westerly property line. When I went out there for a site visit, as we discussed then, the spaces here, actually, there were only 2. One is a proposed handicap, one is an existing handicap, one was a regular parking space, and then the spaces shown here along the rear, shown the 2, actually were not even being utilized as 2. There were multiple cars, I think I counted 4 cars that were parked at angled parking.
That was actually my experience as well.
Okay.
I did make a note of that, and at one point I did mention that to the applicant, that the existing parking layout that's currently there does not coincide with the plan that was submitted.
Right. So that's, I was curious because
I
is this
did
something that
observe that as well.
the applicant can explain, because based on the situation that's currently out there, as visible from multiple site visits from multiple individuals, it's not consistent with what was or what is shown on the existing site plan. So, okay. With that said, I would like to invite the applicant to the podium, Mr. Marco Brambilla. Please state your name and address for the record. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. My name is Marco Brambilla. The address is 109 East Harvard in Glendale, California. And with your permission, I will divide the 15 minutes between my own presentation and my colleagues, Mr. Nazarian, who is very much familiar with the details of that, and will be able to address all of the questions that both of you raised. Milka made actually a quite decent presentation of the overall picture. I think there is some fine points that were somehow missed, and maybe in the 5 minutes I would like to go over that.
Okay.
First of all, you asked...
Excuse me. I'm going to start your 15 minutes over again, but just if you don't mind, just making sure that we divide it up between...
We will fit into 15
exactly,
minutes. Don't worry.
Mr. Gara Nazarian and
Okay.
Mr. Marco
All right.
Brambilla. We'll share
All right.
that. All right.
Now, you asked a very quick key question, and that is what was the legal non-conforming and what was the credit. In fact, what has happened is over the last year, we have been working with the staff very closely to find alternative solution and work out a system that will be amenable to both parties. In fact, we did almost reach a final decision of a solution, but that was based upon the fact that we were using a legal non-conforming situation. Thus, every apartment would have 1 parking space, and the existing retailers would have the number of parkings that were granted to them as credited. So we were getting the credit for that, and we were just adding parking spaces to the spaces we were adding. Now, what happened in the process, it was discovered that the parking situation was actually granted by a variance. What that meant is actually we couldn't get credit for the legal non-conforming situation, but we had to consider this as a brand new project. That all of a sudden triggered a whole new array of parking situation. The number of parkings for the units must have been 2. The number of units for the existing retail spaces would have not been credited as a legal non-conforming. It would have been counted as a full situation. That was the number 1 issue. So we had to recalculate and come back to you as a parking reduction. Now, in terms of the addition to the parking, to the actually the bakery area, I think there's a key component that we are being here penalized 3 times in a row. In other words, it is true that we are adding spaces to the existing, but de facto we are adding a 500 square feet of walk-in cooler. We are adding 200 square feet of storage. We are adding about 600 square feet of office space by eliminating one of the apartments. And the de facto space for the kitchen area, for the extension of the prep area, is actually 900 square feet. So it is true, when you are doing a brand new project, you are calculating the total square footage of a retail space, but in this particular case, the majority of the space is either a walk-in cooler, it's either a storage or an office space, but we are being penalized by that by having to provide parking as in toto. Now, almost both businesses, especially the flower shop, is typically a delivery space, and also like the bakery does a lot of delivery. You do have limited walk-up individuals. And by the way, at the same token, how many minutes do I have? Okay, great. So we are doing fine. It is also true that there are limited spaces on street parking, but again, don't forget, this is a very fast turnaround type of an operation for all the businesses in the area. This is not like a mall where you go and do like 3 hours of shopping. This is typically a come in, pick up, and go. The employees, some of them are present today, are either within walking distance, they are carpooling, or actually one individual is actually using the Beeline because it's more convenient. It is also specifically a neighborhood service facility. It is not a destination. So by that, there is a huge number of residential areas in the neighborhood, and that's what the majority of people are actually supporting this business. Having said so, there is a long list of individuals, both neighbors, customers, and employees, well, I would say customers and neighbors more importantly, that are in strong support of that, and Mr. Nazarian will present it to you. And with that in mind, as to the parking situation that you ask, again, Mr. Nazarian will be able to address that. We have reconfigured the parking structure to allow for more parking and more legal parking. The two parkings that you are referring to are existing, and these are the ones that have been in operation for, I don't know, the last 30, 40 years. And with that in mind, I think I have exhausted my 6.5 minutes, and the balance of it will be allocated to Mr. Nazarian. Lilia, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Otherwise, we'll have Mr. Nazarian make his presentation, and then we'll be at your disposal.
Actually, is the business operator?
Yes, they are here.
They are here.
Yes.
I will be asking the need for the expansion because
Absolutely.
I noticed during my site visit,
Absolutely.
Right now it focuses as a retail bakery. The fact that it's expanding double the size and additional offices and whatnot, just curious to see how much of their
Absolutely.
business
The
operation
owner
is it going to
is
be actually
present.
retail versus wholesale operations or manufacturing or whatnot.
She's much more qualified
Okay,
in answering
great.
that. As to the office space, the only thing we have done, actually, we have changed that unit to the office to reduce the parking. That was the only reason. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Garo Nazarian, since you're sharing the applicant's time
Here.
frame.
My name is Garo Nazarian with Domus Design 109 East Harvard, Unit 306. As Milka and Marco presented the project completely, just I will answer the questions that it has been raised here. The second floor unit that we are turning to an office, really we are doing that to help the situation for the parking. Because if you are check the floor plan, we do have the office on the ground floor next to the retail space, that we do have office there, but to help the situation, we are eliminating one of the residential units on the second floor to the office, and the second residential unit is in the ground floor, which is converted to the commercial kitchen area. And the reason of the expansion, this Karina's Bakery, it's one of the successful bakeries in Glendale, which mostly works with the orders for the special occasions, for the weddings, and right now they are satisfying their customers, but they are working in a very tiny spaces, it's not good enough, but by this expansion, as you see, the walk-in cooler, walk-in refrigerator, and the storage area that we are proposing, it occupies maybe not exactly half, but close to half of the space that we are converting is for storage use, because as I mentioned, they are working with the orders for the special occasions, weddings, birthdays, that they pick up or they deliver the product to the customers. And I do have a list of petitioners that signed, the customers that they are visiting the site on regular basis, which they never had any, parking problem. And in the end, I do have the immediate neighbors that they signed this petition, that this business doesn't create, really a big parking issue. That's all that I have to tell. If you have any question, I will be more than happy to answer it.
And forgive me, since I'm looking for the card. Does the business operator have a card?
No,
Filled out?
because
Until
she
he
had
answering the questions?
the surgery, dental surgery. She cannot speak.
Okay.
But
Well,
I will answer the question if you have from her.
Okay, or the property owner. I guess my question would be also in regards to the expansion of the bakery use, and in regards to parking. Currently, my site visit and Milka Toledo's, the case planner, pretty much all the parking spaces were taken already as it stands right now. The individuals that are parking on those angled parking, are they the residents? Are they the
And actually,
patrons
I
of the
can't
businesses?
tell you exactly it was residents or whatever, because right now, maybe the resident, but I forgot to mention that the only residential unit that we are keeping it's occupied with the landlord parent, that he is a senior citizen, he doesn't drive. And really, and the other unit that we are proposing to convert to office is a rental unit that we are getting, to eliminate that parking use for that residential unit too. On the ground floors, that single unit is there. There is another, it's vacant now, but it was occupied by a senior citizen, which she didn't drive, So we are reducing the residential parking use on this property as much as possible. And this property, it has been purchased, the main reason is the bakery. And that it will remain always the way that it works. The bakery, it will remain there, and the residential unit, it will be occupied by the landlord or their parents, which they don't drive. The angle park cars, because this parking layout, I did find that from the documents that I did find from the previous permits that they pulled, which in the end there was only 2 parking spaces. I'm adding 1 more there. And the angle parking, I think nobody can answer it, because maybe a visitor comes for a short period of time, he parks the way that he feels comfortable and lives there. But again, it's a short parking, time, because they just come, park, they pick up and they leave. They don't stay there for a long time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Arlene Penaflor?
Good morning. My name is Arlene Penaflor. I'm a real estate agent by profession. My address is 411 North Central Avenue, Glendale 91203. I'm here in favor of the Karina's Bakeries project. I've been a patron of the bakery and been buying all my pastries good there for special occasion and a gift for my clients. And as Mr. Nazarian have mentioned, I don't see any problem with the parking, because it's just like come and go. It sometimes takes me less than 5 minutes to pick up and pay and go. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Susanna Yeremian, please.
Hi. My name is Susanna Yeremian. I live on 1249 South Orange Street, Glendale, California, 91204. I've been working for Ms. Tash Kaplan for about 2 years. The experience that I've had with the parking is, me personally, I don't drive. I actually take the Beeline. And my coworkers as well, they don't drive. They actually live very close. So for them to come to work, it's very easy. No car needed, no space needed. The residential unit that they have in the back, there's absolutely no parking space for them needed because they actually don't drive. Like Mr. Nazarian said, that the owner's father resides there. He does not drive. And as far as us, we really don't have any parking problems because our customers come in. I mean, they come, the most they stay there is about 25 minutes and they leave. And when I say 25 minutes, it's because if we're taking a wedding order, that's the most that they stay. Otherwise, they walk in, they choose the pastries, they leave. Especially if it's something, I don't know if you're familiar with our cakes or pastries. They come in for bird milk the most. You should try it sometime. And what they do is they come pick it up, pay us really fast, and they leave. There's really no issue for the residents or any businesses besides us. I mean, the businesses right next to us, like the Lily's Flowers and the Wireless, they have their own parking structure. Lomita, if you visited there, there's actually a huge empty space of parking that sometimes if it's packed, customers do park there or in the front or on even Chestnut. But as far as it being any problematic, I haven't really had any customers come in and complain that they can't find parking. And regarding the parking, the one that's kind of paralleled right next to each other in front of the residential area, sometimes when the customers are in a hurry or they have to pick up a cake and it's a big cake, what we do is we get the cake and we take it to the back from the back area, and that's where they park their car so we don't damage the cake. And we put it in the trunk and they leave. So is there anything else I can answer?
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Ms. Edith Fuentes?
Good morning, Ms. Semaititis. Edith Fuentes, resident of Glendale and an interested party. I am also a long-time customer of Karina's Bakery, I would say for almost 13 or 14 years. And I'm very interested to know how the city will decide on a small existing business that is trying to survive in this economic downturn. The business has been in existence, like I said, for 13 or almost 14 years, and it has been an asset to the city. It has become a destination place, specifically in the southern portion of California, and it has been a pride to the city. As everybody has mentioned, I've been going there for 13 to 14 years. When the customers come to Karina's Cake House, it takes me 2 to 5 minutes to come in, pick up what I want, and then go out. There are parking on street and on site, and the other speaker that spoke just a minute or two ago said exactly what I do. If I order a big birthday cake or a wedding cake, they make you drive to the back. Maybe that's where you have seen some of the diagonal park cars. They load the cake into your vehicle, and then you get out on the side of the property. And I have had no problems finding parking on site and on street because of the quick turnover. The business provides employment, service to the community, and I believe that the proposal in which they are adding, cooler, storage, and office spaces to offset some of the parking requirements it needs a little bit of review, really, because it's not increasing the public space where people come and go. I think Karina's Cake House already has a built clientele. It's not going to increase anymore because of the storage or the cooler or the office space. It's the same space, the same cake house, and all they're trying to do is be very competitive and catch up with the changes that's needed to make the bakery function a little bit better. I'm very familiar with their work area, and I've seen how cramped they are in that work area. And I think being able to store a little bit more of their retail cake and pastries will be of help to the customers in coming and going faster, as we are doing now. So I hope you will have a favorable decision on this matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I actually have a question for you, Ms. Fuentes. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but having been the previous zoning administrator, in this type of situation, given that we have to compare to make findings in order to grant a variance, or in this case, a parking reduction permit,
Sure.
typically we have to look at retail uses in general, bakeries in general, not in specific Karina's Bakery or whatnot. This particular use is planning an expansion of over 2,000 square feet, and there's a parking shortfall. Right now, code would require 21 parking spaces on site, and 9 are provided. Having been
Yes.
in your previous decision-making experience and expertise, how would you grant those findings?
And I'm glad you asked the question. Like I said, there are so many things to take into consideration. Number one, this is located, you can even see from the monitor, in a highly dense area. No matter what you do to an existing business, to add a square foot or anything that will trigger parking will be seen as exacerbating the parking condition. This is already highly impacted with parking needs. But you also have to take into consideration this is an existing, and because of the unique situation, being non-conforming, there is a mixed use on the property. It sets them different and apart from some other businesses or other conditions. And I think the proposal tried to compensate the parking requirements. Instead of expanding the retail use, they're eliminating a portion of the residential use to make that into their office, which lessen. Otherwise, there will be more parking required. As a matter of fact, if they have let's say if it's considered more as a retail use instead of the residential use. So it's a unique property in that it has a combination of the residential and the commercial. I would also take into consideration the public space. Is it increasing the public space where you're going to attract more customers to be in there, coming and going? The fast turnaround of the customers is also, one of the reasons or one of the issues to be looked at. Is the addition really increasing the bakery itself? I looked at it as the storage, the cooler. They are not public areas that will increase really the public spaces. And they're just bits and pieces because of the non-conforming condition of this property.
And also, as you're aware, we cannot covenant that residential use to
I know.
maintained only by a senior citizen that does not have a car and does not drive.
And
at
I
this point in
understand
time.
that too, because
So-
there could be turnover of tenants as well.
Exactly.
But it's existing. That's an existing condition, and
But they're removing current enclosed parking spaces, converting those to
yeah.
towards the expansion of the business and then eliminating all enclosed required parking spaces.
Yeah, but like I said, you have to put into consideration what is the expansion really? What is the addition? Is it something that's increasing public areas? Is it going to increase the number of customers? Karina's has been there for 14 years, and it's the same customers really that go there.
Thank you. I don't
Very
mean
much.
to put you on
No,
the spot,
that's
and
okay.
I'm not saying I'm in favor or in
And
opposition of.
and I'm
I
not
just was
trying
curious
to defend, but I'm just saying that's the way I'm going to look at it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any other speaker cards that were not submitted yet at this point in time? No? I would like to invite either Mr. Marco Brambilla or Gaur Nazarian for your 5-minute comment rebuttal period, please, if you wish.
Necessarily, I think. Well, for the record, once again, my name is Marco Brambilla. The address is 109 East Harvard in Glendale. I think everybody made a very clear presentation of the case. I think the answer to your question was given by the fact that the owners have gone out of their way to comply with the situation and to make it work. It's not an easy decision to go ahead and eliminate 2 residential units on a mixed-use project, make one into an office just for the sake of reducing the parking requirement, and just to create a minimum additional space for the production, not for the sales area, and the rest of it being what it is. So I think there has been a major effort by the owners to create a situation that will make their building, their facility actually survive within the environment of today's economy and the business, and be competitive with the rest of the world. And certain problems will be always there. As they said, high-density area, and whatever we do to eliminate whatever we can. By the same token, there are certain numbers of issues speaking in the favor of that. A is, I do believe that over the 1 year almost of working with the staff, we have looked at all the various possible options of making it work and trying to eliminate what can happen. I do think it's a fast-moving project, and I do believe that at the end of the day, it is a very viable, situation as an alternative presented to you. And with that in mind, I think there is an inherent limitation for any existing building to survive and to look at it. It's not a brand new building, and we are penalizing the building by saying we are adding 4,500 square feet of retail. In theory, it's true. I mean, that's how you would calculate for a new building. By the same token, we are eliminating the 3 parking spaces for the residential and providing 2 parking spaces for the residential, irrespective of the fact who will be living in that down the road. So I think a major effort has been done to find a viable solution for the development of the project, and the actual extension is actually minimized to make it work. Today's kitchen, we have done a number of bakeries, by the way. Today's kitchen required a certain number of much more elaborate production. In other words, one would do a certain type of a cake 5 years ago. Today it's much more elaborate, much more time-consuming, much more space required. And we have done 3 of them very recently. So you may be familiar because the permit was issued in this city. So that's the reality of the market today. And with that, I think you have all the information for you to be able to hopefully make a favorable decision. Thank you.
One last question. The flower shop. Had the applicant considered taking over the existing flower shop and
I think
converting
flower
it to...
shop, I'm not sure. I mean, maybe
obviously
Mr.
this is a
can do that, but I do
situation,
know
but-
that they have a lease, ongoing lease, and that's a very small space on the premises itself, and they are bound by that lease. And I do know that, as all of us, are doing businesses there, I do go to flower shops and every now and then buy it, but typically it's an order and delivery type of an operation. So it's actually the impact of the flower shop has been always minimal on that. Mm-hmm. The bakery is the major driving force on that. And again, as Ms. Fuentes stated, the sales area is not being affected. The cool area is certainly not adding personnel because the same number of employees are doing whatever they are doing in that area. The only thing that has been really changed is the kind of production for the bakery products. You may be familiar with the project we did very recently. It's one of the major famous things on the corner of Maryland and Harvard, which is one of the premier names of bakery type of an operation. They have a very, very lengthy process of just decorating the cakes and doing that. So that's an essential part of it. So with that in mind, if you have further questions, I'm at your disposal. And you can certainly contact us down the road if you're taking into submissions. If you have any further questions, we'll be always available to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was just handed, at the end of the rebuttal period, 5 speaker cards, and
I think they just wanted to put on the record.
okay, so you just wanted to put on the record. Unfortunately, I'll look into the legality of it, that I was handed after the rebuttal period. If you like, I can open up the public testimony and have you come up and speak. Would you like to come up and speak at this point in time? The individuals that handed. I can't, unfortunately, you're going to have to come up to the microphone, please. And sorry, since these matters are being recorded,
I do
can't.
apologize. She just
And your name and address for the record,
Susanna
please.
Uramian, 1249 South Orange Street, Glendale, California. Ms. Karnitesh Kaplan actually just had surgery. She's not able to actually fully speak normally. And so I'm wondering if I can actually state on behalf of her that she's in favor.
Okay, well, it's noted in the speaker card, so, all right. None of the other individuals would like to come up at this point in time? It's up to you, but actually, technically, we're in the
I
rebuttal
do
period has
apologize.
closed,
It's
so-
just they do have an issue with English.
Okay, if you're just going to state that you're in support of, I see your speaker card, so,
Okay, I am Asmi Gasparian.
I'm sorry.
Asmi Gasparian, 312, half East Palmer Avenue. That's it. I'm support, yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, and I take it that,
Hi, I am Makrui Mazakian.
I'm sorry?
Makrui Mazakian,
Okay.
600 East Elk
Okay.
Avenue. I'm supporting. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome to.
I am Anait Sargsyan, 218 Maple Street, apartment 2.
Okay.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
My name is Tamara Sarkisian. I am living 431 East Acacia Avenue in Glendale, California, 91205. I am support this project.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I take it that the applicant does not have any comments in regards to the previous statements of support. So, okay, with that said, I will take this matter under consideration. And other comments from staff? None so noted. This hearing is now officially closed. Thank you so much for your coming and for your comments. Can you put it on? Are they turning it on? Apologies. All right, we are back. Actually, that should not have been an adjournment. That should have been a quick recess, so I apologize. for that. We do have one last case on today's agenda. And the last case on today's agenda is conditional use permit PCUP 123-2195. The project is located at 2256 Honolulu Avenue. The applicant is In Hwan Kim. The case planner is Kathy Doherty. Project description, it's an application for a conditional use permit. It's a renewal to allow on-site sales, service, and consumption of beer and wine at an existing full-service restaurant, the Three Drunken Goats, and the off-site sale of beer and wine at the Three Drunken Goats, located at 2256 Honolulu Avenue, which is located in the CR Commercial Retail Zone, described as Lot 50, portions of Lot 49 and 51, track number 1701. Okay, we have a comment from the Public Works Engineering section requiring them to come in and obtain an encroachment permit if they wish to proceed with the outdoor public dining. Numerous comments from the police department. It appears that it is an existing, the restaurant has an existing ABC license and they are requesting a renewal of it. So even though it's in an over-concentrated census tract, it is one of the existing licenses. In the same situation as previous, for the first case for the Cave Bar, it's in a high crime area, but there were no calls for police service at this location, and so there are no other negative impacts as based on the police comments. And it appears that all the other interdepartmental comments from other departments are just standard issues. So with that said, Ms. Doherty?
Thank you, Ms. Simatitis. Three Drunken Goats is approximately 3,000 square feet in the area, and it has operated as a full-service restaurant since 2007. Conditional use permit 2007-25 was approved in 2007 to allow the conversion of an existing combination food store and fast food restaurant into a full-service restaurant with the continued sales and service of alcoholic beverages for on-site and off-site consumption. The applicant is requesting to operate the restaurant in the same manner as previously approved. Alcoholic beverages have been sold at this location since 2004 with the approval of conditional use permit number 10718-CU to allow the sale of alcoholic beverages in a retail food store. There is no on-site parking for this building. However, there is shared parking in City Parking Lot 7, which is located to the rear of the building with 90 on-site parking spaces. Staff concurs with the applicant's arguments which were provided in the application and recommends approving the conditional use permit request. If you would like, would you like me to go over all the findings or the staff report sufficient?
The staff report is sufficient. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Brandon Kim is the applicant on record. Please state your name and address.
Yes, good morning, Lady Hearing Officer. My name is Brandon Kim, representing Three Drunken Goats at 2256 Honolulu Avenue, Montrose, California, 91020. For the renewal of our conditional use permit, case number PCUP 1232195. And if I may, shall I go over the findings for the objectives of the general plan? Great. One, how will the proposed use be consistent with the various elements and objectives of the general plan? Well, Three Drunken Goats believes that our CUP use is consistent with the various elements and objectives of the general plan. Alcoholic beverage service, including beer and wine, is consistent with the various elements of the general plan in commercial zones such as the Montrose Shopping Park. The general plan anticipates that full-service restaurants serving beer and wine are appropriate uses in commercial districts, and the restaurant is open to the public, and the food exists. The service menu offers freshly prepared meals to order. 2, why will the proposed use and its associate structures and facilities not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or general welfare, or to the environment? Well, in addition, 3 Drunken Goats states that the existence of a full-service restaurant and market is not detrimental to the health, safety, general welfare, or to the environment, because the continued service of beer and wine for on-site consumption is a convenience to local patrons and an asset to the area. 3, why will the proposed use and facilities not adversely affect or conflict with adjacent uses or impede the normal development of surrounding property? The 3 Drunken Goats, we'd like to contend that the existing use does not adversely affect or conflict with the adjacent uses or impede the normal development of surrounding property, including the introduction of new uses into the shopping park. The full-service restaurant is well situated. Our restaurant is well situated with respect to other facilities in the Montrose Shopping Park. And lastly, to explain how adequate public and private facilities such as utilities, landscaping, parking spaces, and traffic circulation measures are or will be provided for the proposed use. 3 Drunken Goats, we like to state that the adequate structures, parking, streets, utilities, landscaping, and an open space exists for the establishment. A parking reduction permit was obtained for the use, and all conditions continue to be met. We note that we have not created an impact on traffic patterns in the area or created any burden on existing public facilities or infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, you have run the restaurant since its last CUP
Yes, ma'am.
approval, correct? And you're proposing to continue operating the restaurant as it
Correct.
is. Upon site inspection, I noticed that you have a very small bar
Yes, ma'am.
to the left-hand side of the restaurant, and then you have seating and an open kitchen concept as well.
Yes.
So no changes are proposed.
No changes, everything will
Okay,
stay
and you're just
the same.
proposing the renewal for and this would be general alcohol with meal service.
Yes, beer and wine only.
Beer and wine only?
Yes.
Okay, beer and wine. All right, I have no further questions.
Great. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Mr. Orte.
Ms. Edith Fuentes?
Good morning, Ms. Zemaitis, Edith Fuentes, resident of Glendale, and interested party. I just want to mention that we have been using the establishment for many years and have not had any news or any knowledge of any negative impact or negative conditions brought by the establishment in the area. So we hope you will give it a favorable renewal of the conditional use permit. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh. Good. Okay, I'll take the matter under consideration, and thank you so much for coming, for your comments. At this point in time, the Planning Hearing Officer meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. That was...